Greetings, everyone. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to Newsday. Today, we are going to be taking a look at JP news, and while there isn't too terribly much, some of it that is here is at least pretty interesting. So this week, JP has the Europa raid, which is the first raid we've had in a very long time. Now, honestly, some people will be, hey, cool, a raid. Some people will be like, ugh, a raid. And both sides of that coin, I am. So the raid will be taking place over 7 days. It's going to have a new piece of equipment focused around Melia, but probably also gunners as well. Looks like there is, of course, the bonuses. Melnia and Bronwell are the two major bonuses for this raid, which, yeah, makes sense. And then, as per usual, the rest of the bonus units basically consists of a lot of units that have been older units that have been upgraded. So, Beautiful Blade Leela, Lemire, Duan, Oldoa, Immortal Thazin, which, the worst bonus unit quite possibly on JP ever, Corwell, Ruel, and Perush. With the ones here that I'm particularly saying is probably best is Bridal Alaya for the bonus, or the secret one, and as for the regular one, Ruel is probably going to be just fine. And as for VCs, focuses around Elsirel's solo mission, the Setting Sun, which are the two VCs that came out recently with some of the other units. And I do believe that there is one more, which is the large bonus, which is our brand new one, which we'll talk about today. And actually, it's kind of a good one, so good news. But as for the raid itself, I don't know. There isn't really too much to say here. It's a raid. It may have been a while since we've seen it, but everyone kind of knows how these go by this point. Speaking of which, let's talk about VCs. And the VCs is the fun part of today. So we got two new VCs. Let's start with the one you get off the raid, because this one is free and therefore superior. 45 cost MR vision card, comes with the Sahagin print, which is a new Esper. Interestingly, the Sahagin print looks to be, what is it? Spear type Esper, if things are to be believed. But hopefully will just be a generally good enough water Esper that can potentially work across multiple units very well. Now, interestingly, too, this summon, I mean, for being a lower cost one, seems to have a couple of status effects attached to it, one of which being Toad, which is very curious. Also I'm not, it has 3, so it looks like Immobilize as well as Disable as well as Toad, and that might just make this Esper actually kind of good. I mean, there are Esper boosters out there, which could be potentially interesting with this guy too. I don't know. I'm really digging the Sahagin prince for a lot of different reasons, and he is princely, so why not? But yeah, the VC itself is a job type VC, and works with swords, including Red Mage, spears, and bows. Now, honestly, the immediate thing that comes across with this VC is just ice. For one thing, I mean, you just look at the grouping of Red Mage, which has, Cecil. It potentially has, I think, Dwan too, right? Charlotte, that's who I'm thinking about. It has Elena, who is, of course, one of Global's favorites. The Top Knight of Granishell, which is... Oh my goodness, why am I blanking on his name? I said his name 100,000 times. You know who I'm talking about. It's Rain's dad. And a few other jobs, including some of the ones that have come out more recently. Which I do believe includes Sildra's owner, Ferris. Reagan, I got it. I'm sure that somebody already typed it in. But anyway, This VC for a job VC, I'm curious about how good this could potentially be. Taking a look at what the VC will have across the party, increased pierce attack and critical avoidance with accuracy up being the maxed out, which is fairly easy to do, and agility up and range attack resistance up. I think that this is interesting for potentially light. I think this is potentially really interesting for ice if you think about, what's his name? God, man, I'm just blanking on so many names tonight. Owlet, Reagan, and Jaden, that ice combo. This is a nice little VC to potentially push them up as well as lower the cost on that. Uh, of course, it's a 300 cost party, but you know, this is, I think this is a decent looking VC. And yeah, that's kind of what I think about it. I mean, it's free, so yeah, of course I'm going to think positive. Now let's talk about the URVC, which is a 60 cost job VC. Now this one works across the Knight Sword group, guns, as well as maces. So for characters that we're looking at here, you know, we're looking at Frederica, we're looking at Lucia, original Howlet, original Jaden, Dress Up Lassie, Moore, Noctis, Prompto, Celeste, Sadali, Queen Mashari, Lightning, Alaya, Marugia, Bradley, Wingstern, Raph, Melnia, to name a grouping of them. And taking a look across there, there's a lot of scattered stuff here that could be interesting in different spots, but maybe this is just a really good multi-elemental gunner type job. You know, if you include Alaya as well as Melnia, that's pretty interesting. If you go Rurugia, King Bradley, and Melnia, maybe that's a grouping that you would want to do, or put Queen Mashari in there. Noctis is in there. There's a lot of Earth Elemental characters on this BC, which definitely pushes it that way. Wing Stern is interesting because Engelbert is also on there, which is a little bit of a combo that is already proven to be pretty good. So I would say that it's at least worth considering here. And the thing we're getting off of these units, we'll get off this, is single attack resistance and reaction block rate, which is generally pretty good in itself. But if you recognize those symbols right there at the bottom, those characters such as they are, or kanji, and it's speed up. It is a agility up VC for guns, and that probably is going to make it a very strong consideration. It's not a limited time one, so you can potentially get this later down the line. But if you're looking to get an agility VC for gunners and potentially a rainbow gunner group, this is the VC. This is 100% going to be the VC for that. And you get attack up and AP acquisition on the specific unit bestowed by this card. I like this VC. I'm half tempted to pull for it, even not necessarily being the most. Like, I feel like you could get this to work pretty well with a bunch of different like gunner units. Lightning is also on there, so lightning benefits from it. You could potentially throw in. She has some gunner-based jobs. You look at throwing in Melnia, and then maybe, I don't know, Alaya, and you just have a really strong range party or something like that. I don't know. It's curious. Or Barrett. Yes, let's get Barrett in conversation. You're taking out reactions out of the factor, so you don't have to worry about evasion from certain things like that. It's getting more resistance and more attack up and agility. It feels like a general big win. So those are my thoughts about those VCs. I like the Sahagin Prince just solely on the Esper, but kind of like that he might have a few more properties with a bunch of different characters, giving Spears a little bit of something new. I do mean a little bit, but also potentially supporting a pretty apt ice party, potentially, you know, just boosting Flag Glassy, potentially doing some other stuff that we don't know about yet because there are more characters coming in the future. It seems pretty good. And for those reasons, like that BC, and as for the new job BC, I like that too. It's very clearly a Melnia and an Earth beneficial one, but maybe a Rainbow Strike team can benefit. So yeah, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and hope to see you again in the future.